Hello and welcome back to Dial-H for Heroclix. I'm your sexy ranch hand co-host Kalder. This episode, we're going to go on the dusty trails in another Thread Dead Redemption, cover some really fun things in community, and shout out Thursday Throwdown. This is episode 312. Howdy, howdy, let's get rowdy.
My stuff.
Dial-H for Heroclix is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, including all the latest Heroclix singles and sealed products. Make sure you check them out at CoolStuffInc.com. Joining me in the studio, like always, is my nemesis, Simeon Bruce. What is going on, Simeon?
Oh, stuff.
Stuff and things, baby. Stuff and things. So,
yeah.
Every week, you guys know it. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's the first time you listen to the show, in which case, thank you for listening. Every week, me and Simeon like to say, what made us happy in this last week? It can be Heroclix related. It doesn't have to be Heroclix related. Who cares? So, Simeon, what made you happy this past week, my man?
This last week, I got to do some slightly different than normal work. I got to dig holes, and it's exciting. Felt like old Stanley Yelnats, because I wasn't very good.
Is that Shia LaBeouf's character, or is that just some
yeah?
Is it
in
really?
the movie
Nice.
Holes,
I figured,
or the book, the character's
If you
name was
read
also
books,
Stanley
I don't
Yelnats
think-
in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I was gonna make a joke,
so I gotta-
but
we were-
we're not gonna go there.
we were doing a tear down of a structure, so I had to dig out the footings, and somebody put asphalt about 2 inches under the grass, so it was real fun going. The first day I just had like a sledgehammer, which doesn't really work on dirt and asphalt when it's like buried, and then the second day I got to use a pickaxe, so I felt real cool swinging a pickaxe in the middle of town. People driving by like, whoa, is he a murderer? Nope, just digging.
All right. Very cool. So that's what we ended up going with this week. That's the happy digging holes. That's what we're rolling with.
Yeah.
Way to throw me a curve.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
It was kind of fun.
Good. That does sound fun. Well, that's really cool. That's really cool, Simeon. Digging holes, man. I tell you what. How neat is that? That's pretty neat. What made me happy this week was I beat Doom Eternal for the third time, but this time I beat it on extra life mode, while also doing the Can't Perfect Perfection. So that is extra life mode's thing, is you have to beat it with 10 extra lives left in order to get like this trophy. And then Can't Perfect Perfection is only upgrade 1 Sentinel Crystal, so that's health, armor, or ammo. Only upgrade 1 of those. You can normally upgrade them like 5 times or whatever. So I had to go through the game with only 50 armor, 100 health, but I chose to upgrade ammo. Ammo is probably the biggest thing. And then 1 Praetor suit perk. I think that's how you say it. So yeah, I beat the game on Can't Perfect Perfection and also one-up mode with beating it with an extra 10 one-ups. So that was fun. I got the...
Wait, you're saying Doom Eternal ends?
Yeah, believe it or not, Doom Eternal is not actually an eternal game. It actually has a concrete ending and credits roll and all that stuff.
I'm super glad I haven't bought it now, because that sounds unplayable.
Yeah, unplayable. A game ends. It has an ending. A story comes to a close. There is actually DLC slated for it, which I don't love DLC, but I do like this game enough that I probably would buy the DLC. So there is more story coming. So that's cool. That's fine. But probably the biggest thing is that I signed up for Amazon Prime, hooked it up to my Twitch account, hooked up my Twitch account to my Bethesda account, and got the Twitch Prime exclusive Slayer skin. And the Doom Slayer has like a mullet on his helmet and a mustache. It's like Redneck Slayer. It's awesome. He's got beer cans on his forearm, so instead of like big gloves, he's got like a little koozie that holds a 6-pack of beer on both his arms, and then he has, instead of pouches, it's just more beer cans on his belt. And instead of like the ab window for the classic Doom Marine, he has like his belly hanging out. He's got like suspenders and a t-shirt on. It's pretty awesome. I really dig it. In the game, you can also have these podiums, and the podium has like antler mounts, deer mounts on the wall. It's got it's got an American flag, and it's got a NASCAR checkered flag, and it says guns, freedom, cornbread as like one of those like signs. It's so good. It's so good. So Redneck Slayer might be my next cosplay, because there's also a version of him that just has like an American flag t-shirt, which I really, really dig. It's really cool. This is like probably my favorite skin since like the classic Doom Marine. So absolutely in love with that bad boy we just unlocked. So normally, Dolly for Heroclix. It is a Heroclix podcast. We've been talking about whatever. Next up, I'm sorry for saying so much. I ate like an entire package of Chips Ahoy. That was my new low today. I just went, and because I saw them at a gas station. Side tangent, sorry guys. And I was like $2.50 for like 4 cookies. I guarantee if you go to Walmart or some other grocery store, $2 will get you a whole thing.
I'm gonna make a point.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a point.
Checking the actual price.
Sure enough, if you go and get like their normal size, not their family size, it's like $2.90, but it's for like compared to like the 4 or 6 cookies you get at a gas station.
It's like 3 trays of cookies.
Yeah, it's huge. So I had to make a point and eat all of those 20 minutes ago. So if I just die and keel over because my stomach has rejected the amount of sugar I've ingested in these cookies, that is why. But normally we have news. There is no news in this glorious time that we are living in. So instead, we're going to jump straight into a brand new fan favorite, might I add. This amazing segment that we like to call Thread Dead Redemption.
Friend, I just wanted to play.
Now, firstly, we ain't friends. Don't make no mistake on that subject. Now, secondly, he can't hardly see, let alone reason. Now, reasoning ain't never been one of my strong points neither, but seeing I do just fine.
Thread Dead Redemption, we go through threads on HC realms and see if they can be redeemed. We mostly stick to dial design threads where people make their own sets. So first of all, if you're out there making your own set on HC realms, and if you want us to check it out and kind of, judge it, we get a little judgy, we look at wording, dial design, how accurate the characters are, stuff like that, and we give them some feedback. So if you have a thread out there, let us know. We'd love to check it out and be a part of the show. If not, well, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So we're about to judge Squabbler, member since January 15th. He has no affiliation as his profile picture. I don't know if that's like no profile picture or if that's like a team ability thing on HC Realms. I don't know.
Yeah, no idea.
So since January 2015, and he has made, as of, he started this last year, in August of 2019, a non-MCU Marvel movie set. So that's stuff like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, the X-Men movies, all that stuff that's just not part of the MCU. Now, good old Squabbler here. He's no noob. He's not new to this making sets thing. He's made several. Yeah, he's no spring chicken. He has a unclicked MCU set, an Eternal set, Thunderbolt set, Ghost Rider and the Spirits of Vengeance, WizKids Original Characters mini set, revamped Joker's Wild dials. Lord knows that's the set that needed better dials. Mudpack mini set and a Creature Commandos mini set. So he's been around the block a time or two, and he actually has handy-dandy little rules for his thread. So he has like 5 points, and we'll kind of go into them. But anyways, he says, welcome to the strange beast that is my non-MCU Marvel set. Here we'll be dialing movie characters from all the Marvel movies that weren't made by Marvel Studios. Thus, were never part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Those familiar with my unclicked MCU set will know what to expect. Movie, character, and dial discussion, constructive criticism is welcome. As with my MCU set, I have a few principles guiding this set. So this is kind of how he bases his dials, and it's also what we'll be kind of using to judge his dials to see how well he actually keeps to his own rules that he has set. Spoiler alert, sometimes he doesn't. Sorry, man. Number 1, this is a major movie set only. It means movies filmed expressly to debut in theaters. Whether or not they got there is another story. So this is really sad to me because I was looking forward to Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then the 1979 like Captain America TV serials. That goes in the second point. No TV shows, no movie serials, no episodes as movies, or direct-to-TV stuff. So that's the second rule. Third rule, characters have to be functionally different to be clicked repeatedly. So Wolverine appears in like every X-Men movie, right? But he's basically saying, I'm not going to make a Wolverine. Yeah. I'm not going to make a Wolverine for every X-Men movie as long as I can say they're relatively the same, which I kind of wish he did, because the Wolverine he made for the normal X movies is not, like, to me, it's not Wolverine. We'll get to that later. So that's basically what he's saying. And then number 4, this will be a movie accurate set, okay? The fun of the set will be making the dials that are accurate to the movies, not the comics. You can expect, okay, I don't actually know that word, counterintuitive dials, as many of the characters, especially the X-Men movies, weren't adapted accurately. He doesn't always make movie accurate dials, oddly enough. We'll get into this a little bit later, but he makes good dials, and a lot of them are movie accurate to a fault, where the character is unplayable because the character did nothing in the movie. But there is a few times he gets a character straight up like, did we watch the same movie? Sometimes I'm curious. And lastly, but not least, he says, please politely let me know if I missed someone. So he's saying if there's a major player in a movie that he should have made, let him know. Now, he is still actively updating this. He has a lot to get through, because here is his set list. It's broken down from the 80s to all the way up until just last year, where X-Men Dark Phoenix came out. So here are the Marvel movies he is making characters from: Howard the Duck, The Punisher, Captain America, 1990 version, Blade from 1998, X-Men from 2000, a Stan Lee cameo thrown in there, Blade 2, Spider-Man from Sam Raimi, Daredevil with Ben Affleck, X-Men 2, Hulk, the Banner Hulk, Punisher from 2004, Spider-Man 2 and Sam Raimi, Blade Trinity, Man-Thing, did not know this existed. I'm sad that I now know it does exist. Elektra, Fantastic Four, X-Men The Last Stand, Ghost Rider, Spider-Man 3, Sam Raimi again, Fantastic Four 2, Rise of the Silver Surfer, Punisher Warzone, X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men First Class, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, The Wolverine, Amazing Spider-Man 2, X-Men Days of Future Past, Big Hero 6, Fantastic Four, that's the Fan 4-stick one, Deadpool 2016, X-Men Apocalypse 2016, Logan, Deadpool 2, Venom, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and lastly, Dark Phoenix. Now, he has made up until Deadpool 2016, and he has 2 people from this, and it's Blind Owl and Deadpool. This is a 232-person set. He is not saying anyone's really a common, uncommon, or which ones would be chases, because he's just making them as he goes with the movie. So there's no, like, randomly thrown in there, like how a normal set is, where it's like, oh, well, you made a really cool, let's just say, Dr. Doom with the Silver Surfer surfboard, right? That would be like a chase, But it's just kind of thrown in with the rest of the figures from Rise of the Silver Surfer, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense? So he doesn't actually have the set list, like... Whatever.
He also is going to continue the set list, it looks like, into like the future movies that haven't released yet. So for like 2021 and forward, he has like movies that haven't had like official release dates posted, but as soon as like he watches them, I assume he'll probably be caught up by the time these start coming out.
The only odd one is that he has Spider-Man 3 there, but with Tom Holland, which would be an MCU movie. I don't understand that one, but that's okay. That's whatever. So, Simeon, you want to go ahead and start us off with your first dial pick from this amazing set?
Yeah, so my first dial pick is going to be, let's see here. I'm going to scroll down. This is from the Wolverine 2013 movie. So this is technically the second like standalone Wolverine. There was X-Men Origins Wolverine in 2009, and so this is the second one. This is the one where shows like a flashback where Wolverine was like at the Hiroshima bombing, and I think that's where he was.
I love that
he like saves some dude, and there's like a big plot twist at the end of the movie. That's the bad guy. Do we want to read his little movie blurbs that he has here? Because he does go into detail about like how he feels about the characters in the movies.
For the characters that are like somewhat important that probably need it, yeah, go for it. I think it's fine.
So this is number 153 in the set, Silver Samurai. So he says, the Silver Samurai, most audiences don't love the Wolverine, chiefly because of how the grounded movie gets blown out of proportion by this robot's sudden appearance. So if you don't know, he kind of goes from like fighting ninjas and stuff to like all of a sudden there's this huge like mech suit that's like 12 feet tall with a giant flaming adamantium sword, and it's very not only like implausible, it's just like very strange that they added it to the movie. Like this movie could have been done without this addition. He says, no doubt it's over the top, unnecessary, and betrays the movie's comparatively smaller and more meditative approach to Logan's existential crisis.
Yeah.
Chiro Yoshida. So he's got no team affiliation, 0 range. If you've seen the movie, you like understand. He comes in at 125 points. He's got the Indomitable symbol, the boot symbol, standard attack symbol, and then he is giant-sized, which clearly in the movie makes sense. So keywords are Yoshida Corporation, Armor, Robot, Celebrity. All of those make sense. Pretty good so far. He has no traits, but a single attack power, and that is Superheated Adamantium Katana. And this is the big problem I had with the movie is they make a big deal about, like, in like the first 3 X-Men movies and stuff like that, they make a big deal about how after adamantium is like it's liquid, and after it like hardens, it's like done. There's no reliquefying it. There's like, you know, like in the movies they explicitly say that like, you know, there's like not really any way to destroy this stuff or to like change it back to like just like a pool of metal. But somehow Silver Samurai has a superheated adamantium katana that can cut through adamantium, so Wolverine has to watch out. This guy's got Blades Claw's Fangs, and when the D6 is a 5 or 6, you ignore the opponent's defense power for where that hit, which is like insult to injury. You might as well roll the D6 here. He's got 3 damage most of his dial. So let's see. So he's got this attack power for the first 5 clicks, and then for the next 3 clicks he gets Steel Energy, and then on the last click it is Earthbound Neutralized and Regeneration. So he's 9 clicks deep, pretty deep dial for 125 points. His top dial is Charge with his special attack, and it's a 9 speed, 12 attack, 18 defense with Impervious, and 3 damage with Shape Change. So he's got 2 rollouts. I imagine the Shape Change is because he's kind of like the big reveal at the end of the movie that he was the bad guy, and he kind of comes out of nowhere, so that's the Shape Change.
Yeah.
The fact that you can roll a d6 to try and improve on your 3 damage and potentially ignore the opponent's defense power is pretty cool. The 12 attack is really nice. On clicks 3 and 4, he goes from Charge to Flurry, so if you damage him off of those top clicks, he loses on clicks 3 and 4, he goes down to a 17 Impervious, and he gets mid-dial Leadership, which I always love. Really, there's not anyone that he's leading at that point.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Just,
like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, by the time Wolverine like carves his way to the compound, it's just Silver Samurai, Ichiro, and Viper, I think, are the only 2 really still fighting.
Viper.
So on clicks 5 through 8, he has Plasticity, and he gets that Steel Energy, and he also gets some Exploit Weakness. So he goes from a 3 damage his first 4 clicks down to a 2 damage with Exploit, but the very next click is 4 damage Exploit. So that's actually like a really solid click to be on in that particular scenario, because if they have Impervious, you're carving through them. And then again, his 9th click is Earthbound with a 13 and Regen, which is a very throwback kind of thing. It makes sense as far as the movie goes. That's why I like this dial so much, because like it's a pretty cool fight scene, even though it's just Wolverine hacking away at a giant mecha.
Yeah.
And then Wolverine doesn't even get like the killing blow on the guy, so that's what it is.
So, let's say, rate this accuracy-wise. How'd Squabbler do here? Solid.
Did we have a scale for this?
I don't remember.
I thought we had a scale.
I don't remember. Though. We did have a scale, though, for sure.
Yeah, I can't.
We're going to have to go back in time.
We'll say on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is Rasputin, the best click ever made, and 10 is something like Unimind, where it's like overly powerful and the worst click ever made. Let's flip flop those. Unimind will be the 1 and Rasputin will be the 10. Yeah. So that'll be our scale. I'm gonna give this guy, as far as like movie accuracy and actual playability for his points, I'm gonna say he's a Chase Thor from like the Captain America set, like a 7. He's not gonna be like top tournament kind of play, but pulling him in sealed is like gonna be really hard to like beat him, and he's gonna be one of those pieces where with the right kind of build around him, he's real solid.
So I'll agree with that for the same reason I agree with that Thor, because that Thor is better than its point cost. Like this guy, he's not worth 125 points. He's probably closer to like 140 something, like just for like dial length alone. Even if he's not like a good 125 points, he's still like dial length and all this other stuff. He's probably sitting around like 145, maybe 150, like really, for his point cost.
I would say, as far as like modern kind of style dials go, there's no reason to not give him a stop click with his regen. So for 125, like I could just imagine that being like a stop click. It could still be 13 regen and that's it. But yeah, other than that, I don't see, like, he's definitely worth the points. Definitely like a playable thing. Still a terrible decision inside the movie. Pretty awful.
I see him the same way as Wonder Woman's Ares. Wonder Woman fights normal human people the whole time, right? And then she has a big like video game boss fight against CGI. Ares, that's exactly what this movie is.
It's not even a good boss fight. It's a quick time event.
It's a quick time event.
Avoid attacks.
Yeah, it's the worst one where you have to dodge things, and then you do the one slash, and then all right, good job. You weren't really fighting a boss. You were just fighting the environment, At least Wolverine's hacking at this guy. Anyways, my first pick is going to be from the first movie on this list. It is Howard the Duck. I like Howard the Duck as a character. This movie's not great, but it was pretty enjoyable. I'm going to be talking about my least favorite character in the movie, and that is the Dark Overlord of the Universe. For some reason, they decided to make this Howard the Duck movie, which is rated PG, by the way. And this is like a terrifying alien monstrosity thing. That is the end boss of the whole movie. Very end bossy, these movies, I guess. So he is 50 points or 125 points. So 50 points gets you the Walter Jennings dial, where he's just like in secret, like, I am the Dark Overlord. And he does all of these little small things to throw people off. And then you knock him past that, and there's a stop click, and then that begins his real Dark Overlord dial, where he is his big, weird alien monster thing. I think this is actually very, like, an amazing 125 points. Slightly undercosted, I would still say. Not so much like our last gentleman, but let me just get into it. He is Scientist, Cosmic, Monster Ruler. He has 7 range. So his 50-point dial is like the worst 50 points he can spend. He has 3 clicks of Force Blast, 3 clicks of TK, 15 defense, and that's as low as it gets. But it's a 3-click long 50-point dial. He has 3 damage with I am not Jenning, I am somebody else, which is Shape Change Range Combat Expert. He does have 3 damage, 10 attack, but he can pump out 5 damage potentially. But still, for 50 points, with no moving around and such a low defense, like no defensive capabilities at all, no rollouts, no stealth, no anything, and just having a 15 defense, he's probably going to get one shot before anything happens. So defense-wise, just because of that, even with damage potential, it's like the worst 50 points in the set probably. Next up, though...
Also, all 4 of his keywords have better 50-point options.
That is very
with
true.
Like, those same
Ruler,
powers.
Monster, Cosmic, Scientist, absolutely. Oh my gosh. So he has the 1 stop click, which is... So he has no special combat symbols until we get to his stop click, which makes sense. He's a normal person. A normal person possessed by an entity, sure, but the stop gives him invulnerability. For the rest of the game, Dark Overlord of the Universe has Giant, Indomitable, and then can't be healed past this point. I enjoy clicks like that. Once you're there, there's no going back. And then he has Charge. So he's a giant, so he has 2 squares reach, more than normal, right? He has Charge, and what is his special attack power for 3 clicks? It is Giant Reach 4. So instead of Giant Reach 2, it's Giant Reach 4, and Steal Energy and Flurry, which is wild. This is like a crazy solid power. Yes, he has to get knocked to it, but man, this in combination, that's a terrible 50 points, right? Just paying 50 points. But paying 125, and you don't want to knock that 15-point character to this dial, and then letting that 50-point character, like, range combat expert you for 5, potentially, that is, like, a really tough choice to make. Or do I knock him down to this crazy Steel Energy, Flurry, Charge, Giant Reach 4? He only has 3 damage, 11 attack, but still, it makes him, like, he's actually kind of a threat. I would never play this character at 50, but, like, playing it together is really cool. Then the rest of his dial, he has a full dial range combat expert. Besides that special, he always has it. He goes down to a 4 damage, and he keeps Flurry and Steel Energy the entire time, which is really weird to me. There's only one click on his dial he doesn't have Flurry, which is where he just has Charge and he loses that attack power, but he still has Steel Energy. So he almost has a full dial, a full monster dial of Flurry, Steel Energy with invulnerability. This character, yeah, the Dark Overlord was really scary. It shot lasers. It also had just big crab claws and stuff. It was terrifying. But it also got, like, destroyed by the one really cool gun they had. So I feel like the only inaccurate thing is the fact that the Howard the Duck he made doesn't get Pen Blast with his gun. Instead, it's just Range Combat Expert. So that makes sense why this guy only has invulnerability. You can just blast him right past it. So I think this is a really accurate dial. And, like, in a set, it's very solid. So, Dark Overlord of the Universe, ladies and gentlemen. From Howard the Duck, don't you want to believe it? Great end of music. 1986, baby. Better times. Truly the best work of George Lucas.
What a good year. I forgot it was George Lucas. Oh, man. That's, it's not disappointing. So up next, I'm gonna step back to X-Men Origins Wolverine. So for this set, he's got Wade Wilson, it's the Merc with the mouth, played by that one guy. Chris Bradley, Agent Zero, John Wraith, Blob, Gambit, Kayla Silverfox, and Deadpool. Notice how there is no Wolverine in this one. That's because he appears in an earlier X-Men movie. So the Wolverine in this wasn't, like, super different compared to the other X-Men franchises. I think the movie ended up with, like, a teen rating. I don't remember. I feel, or PG-13, I guess is how they do movies. So this movie was kind of like I don't know. It was a fun action flick, but man, did it really throw some curveballs in literally anyone that's ever read a X-Men comic. So out of this movie, I decided to pick the number 125, Deadpool. And so this is, as you know, this is Ryan Reynolds with the sewn together weird mouth.
Oh yeah, baby.
The weird combo powers. They didn't actually put him in any kind of suit, so he's just like this weird genetic experiment. Pretty hilariously bad to look back at. But let's get into it. So, real name, Wade Wilson. No team affiliation. 7 range. 175 points. He's got the Team X, Weapon X, Mutant, Monster, and Past keywords. Because this is all like a flashback kind of movie. The whole thing is Wolverine's origin, kind of.
What? No way.
So what makes him worth 175 points? So he's got Wolverine's healing factor. That's traded. He has, when Deadpool clears 2 action tokens, he may use regeneration as a free action, which is always just real cool. He does have Indomitable, no other special combat symbols. He starts off with a 12 speed, 12 attack, 19 defense with super senses, and 4 damage with ranged combat expert. Then he goes to an 11, 11, 18, 3 with all the same. His dial is completely same powers throughout. Super senses all the way down, range combat expert all the way down, and then a special speed and a special attack power that I'll get into. Click 3 is a 10, 11, 18, 3. Then he goes down to a 9, 10, 17. Then he's a 17 defense the rest of his dial. Goes down to a 2 damage, and between 9 and 8 speed. So, but you're hopefully clearing and regenning back up to that 12, 12. That's where it's real cool. Kestrel's phasing. That's I think that's the one he got from the Wraith guy, right? Played by the Black Eyed Pea guy.
Come on, dude, it's Will.i.am.
I
How
can't
could
remember
you?
his
How
name.
dare you? It was great. It was bad Nightcrawler.
No, your name's Kalder,
Okay.
not Will.
I'm just gonna eat that one. I don't want to. I can't. I can't.
It's a good old 2000 joke. Is that 2000
Very
late?
It's terrible.
That joke? Okay. So Kestrel's phasing teleport. If Deadpool moves half his speed or less, he can make a combat action as a free action. So Calder, what is a combat action for those that don't know?
Combat
I
action.
of course know what a combat
What
action
Squabbler
is.
here is referring to, probably what he means to say is can make a close or range action as free, or free make close or range, which is the current wording. A combat action, it does not exist. So if you were caught off guard by Simeon's superior intellect in knowing what a combat action is,
yes.
there was a reason.
I clearly knew.
This is not the end of combat action either. I don't know where he got the wording for combat action.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense
weird.
in a way, but yeah, I would imagine he means capital close, capital range. So that would be like a power that you can use blades, Psyblast, stuff like that with. So if Deadpool moves half his speed or less, he can make one of those as free. We've seen this in a lot of characters. This is like the sneak attack. Cable from Deadpool X-Force had a similar kind of power. Those are usually just attacks. This is clearly a combat action, so it's slightly better than an attack.
Yeah, it's improved.
And to combine that with that, he has overly long adamantium wrist blades. So if you've seen the movie, you know what it is. He has shoved katanas all the way up his forearm. They're like 2 feet long. Doesn't make any sense. They would be like all the way up to his shoulders, and he wouldn't be able to bend his arms. But that's what he fights with. So the overly long adamantium wrist blades gives him Blades, Claws, Fangs, and Flurry. Damage dealt is penetrating. So I'm not even using blades. He's got 4 damage.
Yeah.
So it just says Blades, Claws, Fangs, Flurry, and Flurry. Period. Damage dealt is penetrating. That means top dial you could use Ranged Combat Expert and do like 13 for 5 and have penetrating damage. And you wouldn't be able to combine Ranged Combat Expert with his phasing teleport, but you could sure just like shoot somebody with it. Phase up 6 squares, shoot 7 squares out, do 4 damage. Next turn, use range combat or flurry if they close the gap. He's a real monster throughout his whole dial. He doesn't have any reducers, so like poison and stuff like that would be easily like eat through his dial.
Mm-hmm.
But he does have that free regen after clearing 2 action tokens. So, is he worth 175 points?
No.
Oh, we forgot to rate your Dark Overlord.
There's no. Oh yeah, Dark Overlord. Let's go back to him. I gave him a solid. I would think he's a solid 7. Really.
Yeah, I think full dial.
Full
definitely
dial.
like
50
a 7.
is terrible, but full dial.
Maybe
solid
even
7.
7, maybe even an 8.
Yeah.
He's very reminiscent of like other characters that turn into like a big bad dude.
Yeah.
Like mid dial. The 50 point, I think I'd give like a 2.
Yeah, it's low. It's bad.
I'd never end up playing it. It's like I have so many better options for all those keywords and TK and Force Blast if I really need Force Blast.
No, yeah, absolutely.
But for Deadpool here, yeah, on a scale of Unimind to Rasputin, where Rasputin is the best BPRD figure.
It's Rasputin.
Well, you have to think of a better figure than Rasputin then to change the scale.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go back and listen to what our scale was.
Let's go. Like our scale of like 1 is like Felix Faust, just like shouldn't have been made.
Yeah, shouldn't have been made. What were you thinking you made this dial?
And
for like a dial design wise, that makes sense.
What should our 10
I still
be?
think
Something
that
that's
Captain America
beautiful.
from ABPI is like the perfect Captain America dial. It's like great dial design.
the rare.
If we're okay with that, the gem.
Yeah, the rare with the time gem.
Fine with that for now.
He's got charge, running shot, because Captain America can do both of those. So on that kind of scale, I'm gonna give this guy like a, let's see. Oh, he's 8 clicks long, by the way, for 170
just
points.
super sensitive.
I'm gonna give him like a 5.
I was thinking 5 too. Oddly enough, no, I really was thinking
A
5 too.
fun casual guy.
I think he's
a real
overcosted.
fun casual
it's
piece.
Rough. Without protected outwit.
Overcosted.
And, like this, I think Squabbler really likes regeneration as power, but he really overcosts regeneration. I think I've kind of noticed that.
Yeah.
I think regen is a little overcosted here.
And this is like something where, if the Wade Wilson could turn into this character, I could see the higher point cost.
Sure.
But like you'd have to like turn in on like click like 5 or something, because otherwise it'd just be silly. But this kind of feels like a Shikla kind of character.
Yeah.
Like the big purple monster from Deadpool and the X-Force. Real cool top dial, a little bit squishy. He does have Indom, and he does have like some solid penetrating damage his whole dial. No protected outwit, which at 175, I think at 175, no protected outwit means that he's just not being played competitively, which isn't a bad thing, because this guy would be real solid on like a 500 point team, or even 400 points, where you can put some additional attackers in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, I'm going to talk about before movies were good, movies were really, really bad. But some movies were more comic accurate than others, and that brings us to the 1990, dare I say, classic Captain America movie here. The quick blurb by Squabbler, he goes into something about, like, what's an artist trying to do? This is why I don't hate movies, blah, blah, blah. Like, who cares? But here's what he does say is, I know it's wildly considered one of the worst superhero movies ever made, but directed by schlock legend Albert Pune, I don't know. It was never going to be great. It was always going to be shot as quickly and cheaply as possible. Even still, the direction was surprisingly earnest. He took care to play out Cap and Red Skull's origins. He shot on location. He got comic-accurate costume. And we had a slew of fight scenes. Even if Red Skull's origins were changed for the needs of the movie, Captain America 1990 is more reverent to the comics than X-Men 2000 would be a decade later. It's not a graceful new movie, no doubt, but it has heart. But its heart is in the right place. So, Captain America, this movie starring Matt Reed or something like that. I can't remember his name. He's one of the few characters. They totally changed how Steve Rogers worked, and they kind of changed how Captain America worked. But he had the most screen-accurate Captain America costume ever. It was an all-spandex suit. So much spandex, actually, not spandex, it was like rubber. It was this weird rubbery suit. There was so much rubber, they decided, heck, Cap doesn't even need ears. So instead, we'll make fake rubber ears instead of ear holes. So it's very odd that that's what they went with. But the fight scenes weren't terrible. Throwing the shield is hard to do before we got CGI and editing, and like that made it way easier. So throwing the shield was always rough in these movies. So let's check out 006, Captain America, real name Steve Rogers, no affiliation, 0 range, we'll get to that later. Soldier celebrity past, he's 75 points. 75 points gets you 5 clicks, 3 clicks of charge, 2 with plasticity in the end dial. He starts with a 10 attack the whole dial. With incapacitate, he's indomitable. This Captain America is one I probably wouldn't give indomitable to, but he does have it. Starts with 3 clicks of toughness, goes down to 2 clicks of combat reflexes. Nothing for damage on the top 2 clicks, and then he goes on a close combat expert the rest of his dial. He has 3 damage at the start. And his middle click is pretty solid, with 17 toughness, 3 damage with close combat expert, 10 attack, potentially doing 5 right there in the middle. So he has a trait, which is a really weird tactic this Captain America uses several times in the movie, which is I'm getting carsick. Choose an opposing character who can use the carry ability. They cannot use the carry ability this game, but Captain America can, and has +3 speed when he does. So it's pretty funny. If you stick someone with him, and there's a really good sidekick that you can put with this Cap in the same set we'll get to in a bit, he then has the carry ability, and he steals it from an opposing character. Now, Cap has to be there, right? It has to you just choose an opposing character, actually, so he doesn't have to be there. There's no range in line of fire. So right away, you can take your opponent's taxi's ability to carry, which is great. So this Captain America for 75 points, like, nerfs a Alpha Strike, like, Voyager team, Sam Cap team, whatever. It's pretty cool.
A lot of Golden Age teams.
A lot of Golden Age stuff, too, yeah. His second trait is Unbreakable Shield. Stick with me. I'm going to read the wording. It's going to get a little wonky. We'll try to decipher, like, ancient runes that this guy's wording is. I'm not trying to be mean, but, like, on some of these, it's a little rough. Captain America begins the game with the shield light object equipped. When he makes a ranged attack with it, so just range. It's not a combat action. This is a ranged attack. He draws a path with the shield, making an attack against all opposing characters in its path, dividing his damage as he goes. Captain America may use his attack ability, aka his attack power, for this action. So he can use it with in-cap if he wanted to. If the path is drawn back to Captain America, he equips the shield as free. So the shield gives him impervious, ESD, and 5 range. And then it says in little throw. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know what that means.
Ability.
The throw ability. So
the inherent throw
what
ability.
is the path Captain America is drawing? I do not know. Why would it not be able to be drawn back to me? Is it stuck with the 5 range? Is that why? So do I have to be really close to use the shield? So it makes the shield very defensive and not very offensive at all. If you can only use it with 5 range, do I have to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and then make sure I get it back to Captain America? Is that what we're talking about? Or, like, the drawing the path doesn't make any sense?
Yeah. Especially since, like, a normal wording for this would be, like, in a direct path.
Yes.
Like, that is an actual, like, term.
Yes.
Direct path can't double back on itself, so there would be no way for the path to be drawn back to him under normal, like, rules. So I'm assuming I'm going to give him, like, a real benefit of doubt and just say that it works like Hawkeye, or not Hawkeye, like Yondu. Like Yondu's Yarrow arrow. Yeah.
So if we say it works like that, then this Captain America, on a scale of Felix Faust to a BPI Captain America, like, it's a good dial. It's really solid, and if we make the shield work the way it should, then he is a defensive beast with impervious and ESD. I'm going to give this Captain America, like, once again, I feel a solid 7.
All right.
For that car stick ability, being able to just take away a taxi right away. Soldier is a good keyword.
Yeah.
And
without
for
that
75
top
points,
trait, I'd give him like a 6 or a 5.
Yeah,
with the
he's
top
definitely
trait,
lower.
I think with the top trait, definitely like a 7. Like the fact that you could be like, hey,
Steals
nice,
your car, man.
nice,
your car.
what's nice overdrive? I guess is that what it is?
Mhm.
Nice overdrive you have there. Like, too bad
I
you
guess you
can't
would use
carry
the
anyone.
pog. That's the worst
Yeah.
part, right? Overdrive would actually beat you on this one. 'Cause
That's
it's
true.
Not until he makes the pog.
Right,
So
yeah.
Overdrive's the nice kite man you got there.
On the shield though, as a separate like object, 5 points for impervious and
5
energy
points for
shield.
impervious ESD, 5 range is insane.
That's
a
nuts.
great object.
The
5
fact that
point
like
impervious.
yeah,
That
I could
is
put
that's
that
like
on
a 15 point
the Deadpool
object. Maybe
we
not
just talked
15
about.
points, but like yeah.
Oh,
my gosh.
I'd say 15. I think equipable
15, yeah.
impervious is big.
You know, there isn't actually. I guess the only way to get defense powers in modern right now is with the Iron Man gauntlet, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
There is no like.
Yeah,
producer.
Exospecs
So,
doesn't
yeah,
do it.
15 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
This
ESD,
makes that
there's
Deadpool worth 180 points. Like
180 points with, I mean, still
the
no
shield?
outwit protection. But
it's true. It's rough.
yeah, but impervious and energy shield is whole dial.
Mm-hmm.
How much outwit do they have? You know.
That's right.
So yeah, I'd definitely say like the shield. Maybe that's 5 points only to be equipped to Captain America. Maybe it's like an additional 5
plus
points
5
for him.
trait.
And it's because if it was just straight up 5 points for impervious energy shield, it would throw the point cost of like the rest of his dials completely out the window.
For sure. Oh my gosh, for sure.
It's a crazy.
Really
crazy,
quick,
like, stuff.
I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna mention Sharon. It's just Sharon. I don't know. Whatever. She's also from the Captain America movie. She has 4 range. She's 15 points. She's 3 clicks long. She has sidestep. But I think she's like the best 15 points ever. Like this guy made an insane 15-point figure. The damage power is I'll handle the modern stuff. Free. Pick a friendly character. They cannot be targeted by opposing characters' outwit, perplex, or probability control until your next turn. This is an insane 15-point figure. Wow. It's just wild, man. Wild.
So,
That's all I need.
assuming
That's
that
all
the
I wanted to
shield
bring
is
up.
5 points in addition to Captain America, that brings him to 80. And
Yep.
then the Sharon
Plus
Carter
Sharon,
is 15.
who he can carry around. Right.
Yeah, so for 95 points, you have a Captain America that can't be outwitted, perplexed, or probed. And he has impervious energy shield. So the fact that you can't get rid of... He's got a 20 defense from range, and you can't get rid of any of that.
Then you give her to Deadpool from the same set, right? Because this is all technically one set.
Oh, yeah.
Then that Deadpool is a beast.
Yeah.
The Deadpool is like impossible to kill.
Yeah. For 200 points, he just becomes like a monster.
All right. Next pick, Simeon.
All right. Next up, let's see here. I'm gonna go into the not so way back machine, just the medium back machine. This is Fantastic Four 2, the 2007 movie, the Rise of the Silver Surfer. So
Here we go.
this set had the Silver Surfer, the Human Forge, Doctor Doom, Cosmic, Galactus, and the Fantastic Car. You'll notice none of the actual Fantastic Four because they were in the original movie. So was Doom. That's why this is the Cosmic version. But I decided to go with number 111, the Human Forge. And no, you're not mishearing me. That is, it's the Human Torch, but instead of the T-O, it's F-O-U, because he's Forge. So,
it'll make sense.
If you've seen this movie, you'll eventually get what's going on here. So, the Human Forge, real name Johnny Storm. Team powers are Fantastic Four and Power Cosmic. 6 range, 2 lightning bolts, 300 points. Keywords: Fantastic Four, Cosmic, and Celebrity. All those make sense. So he's got... Before I get into like the traits, this is the part where, like, if you've seen the movie, Norrin Rad, Silver Surfer comes down. He touches like Ben Grimm or something. He like makes their molecules even more unstable than normal. It allows them to accidentally transfer powers between each other. In order to fight Doom at the end, they all just touch Johnny Storm. I don't know why they picked him, but they picked Johnny. They all touch him, and now Johnny just is like the Fantastic Forge, the Human Forge. Yeah, so he just has all 4 Fantastic Four powers on him at the same time. Basically, he's like the Super Skrull, except we never got one of those in the movie. So he starts off with hypersonic speed for his first 3 clicks. He's got flight, of course, 12 speed down to an 11, then a 10. Then he gets a 10 with running shot on click 4, running shot on 5 and 6 with a 9 and an 8, and then his last 3 clicks are sidestep with 7 speed. So he's 9 clicks long, starts with an 11 attack that goes down to a 10 all the way till his 8th click. So from clicks 2 to 8, he has a 10 attack, a 9 attack on click 9, and then he starts with a 19 impervious, then he goes to an 18, a 17, then back up to an 18 with invincible, and then 2 17s at invincible, and then he ends his dial with 3 clicks of energy shield at 18, 17, and 17. And then his damage fluctuates between 4 and 3, never goes below 3, but it goes 4 damage on click 1, 2 clicks of 3 damage with close combat expert. Then the same is repeated with ranged combat expert for the next 3 clicks, and then the same is repeated for the next 3 clicks, his last 3 clicks with close combat expert again. So he has 2 traits. First trait is Thanks Reed. He gets Flurry, Giant Reach of 5, free, increase Human Forge's Giant Reach by X, and modify attack minus X, where X is your choice of 1 through 5. So he already has Giant Reach of 5, but you can give him a Giant Reach of 10. But you modify attack minus 5. And you say, what about Rule of 3? Well, when Human Forge's attack value is modified minus 4 or minus 5, don't use the Rule of 3. That's
you really did just say screw the Rule of 3, huh?
Yeah, I think this might be the only character I've ever seen where they just like straight up are like, don't use the Rule of 3. I don't think, yeah. Which would be great because it says when his attack value is modified minus 4 or 5, don't use the rule of 3, that means if you built a team with just a stupid amount of perplex, you could potentially give him like a 30 attack because you're ignoring the rule of 3 as per the rule here. Of course, he means to like don't use the rule of 3 as far as the negative goes. So on click 1, if you decided to have a 10 square giant reach, you'd be at a 6 attack. With flurry, I guess, but a 6 attack nonetheless. And then as a double power action, close or power at no cost using giant reach of 10 with no increase. Close or power at no cost using giant reach of 10 with no increase.
To double power?
I think he means no.
To use a close or a power action at no cost? Is that what it means? Using a close combat expert?
So this is like... So you have the choice of increasing his, as a free action, increasing his giant reach. If you do a double power action, his giant reach becomes 10, and you don't do the modifiers from before.
Okay.
So you don't get like the -4 or 5. So this is a double power action. He is power cosmic, so he does have willpower. As far as close or power, that means that you could, I guess, do flurry, because that's a power action.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's pretty decent with 4 damage top dial. His second trait is Thanks, line of fire cannot be drawn to human forge unless he has 1 or more action tokens.
This is his biggest helper right
here.
here.
So he's just, yeah, that's like, before this, it's like hard to like really say that he's worth 300. This is like the one thing where it's like, line of fire can't be drawn to him unless he has 1 or more action tokens, and he's got hypersonic speed, and he's got giant reach of 5.
Yeah.
Like just base giant reach of 5. This guy's got a crazy reach. Because giant reach doesn't have when you use hypersonic, so he's got technically a 17 square reach just on the base.
Yeah.
Potentially like a 22 square reach if you want to give him all that minus to his attack and stuff. And I guess if you give him the double power action, he can use a power at no cost, which would include hypersonic. So you could hypersonic with a 12 and a 10 square reach with an 11 attack for 4.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, silly.
It is silly.
But he does have a special attack
for,
power.
But you have to go for it.
No. He has a special attack power for his first 4 clicks and then his last 2, and that is Supernova, Pulse Wave. When the human forge uses, he deals his printed damage to all hit opponents. So he only has 1 click where he has running shot with this Pulse Wave. And doing the double power action wouldn't help you at all with this, because it's based on range, not giant reach. But, I mean, still, doing, like, hypersonicking up, not being able to get line of fire drawn to you because you have, well, I guess he'd have 1 action token. So you'd have to, like, TK him. But being able to pulse wave for 4 or 3 for most of his dial is pretty crazy. Is it worth 300 points? Not in today's game,
absolutely not.
But like, man,
it's
like 5 years ago, this thing would have been.
It's like almost there. It's almost there. It's close, but it's not quite, man.
Yeah, I think the lack of stop clicks is what hurts it the most.
The no reducers.
Again, like
bottom half of the dial, bottom third of the dial is really rough. No stop clicks is rough.
Yeah.
The no 12 attack. If I can pay 60 points and get a Batman with a 12 attack, and I pay 300 points, and I don't have a 12 attack on my dial, ridiculous. I only have a single 11 attack. I have no prob. I have no perplex. I have a million different ways to make my attack lower, but like it's just, he might be tough to take down with the line of fire, blah blah blah, and good high defenses, good reducers. But I mean. It's egregious.
Well, one of the big problems is like his double power action kind of sets him up for like
just nuked.
Like you can use hypersonic with it, but then you're leaving yourself open for that for like line of fire being drawn to you. The Fantastic Four team ability does allow him to be healed in higher point games, but man, like in a 300 point game alone, if it's I'm gonna go ahead and rate this
Go for
guy.
it.
I'm gonna give him like in-betweener status.
Okay.
He's
Okay.
too many points for what he brings to the table, and there's so much stuff with better stats for less points that he'd be in like a 300-point game.
He really reminds me of like Ronan the Accuser from Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie set one. But like, if you got rid of Ronan and regen, and you're like, man, I don't think I can play this figure at 300. You know?
Yeah. The fact that like there's a Hulk, like the Rage token Hulk for 300 points with like 3 stop clicks. This guy just can't do anything against him. Like, you'd be able to, like, because Pulse Wave's a great power, but it's hard to pull off, whereas, like, Hypersonic and Precision Strike, or, I mean, Flurry is probably what I'm going to try and do with this guy, I suppose. But, no, I think he's, in sealed, he'd be, like, a monster.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give him like a 4.
I was thinking like 3.
I think he's fun.
Low.
I think he's a ton of fun. Yeah. I just don't think he's in any game that's like less than 500 points. I think that he's just too big of a point sink.
For sure.
And he's based off of like one of the worst climaxes to a movie.
I will agree. Having
so bad.
to relive that, totally
bad.
forgot that it happened. The fact that my brain was like, we don't ever need to think about this again. And yet here it is. My next figure, what can I say? I really like support figures. I really quite enjoy this. This is from Spider-Man 2. There's only 2 figures in the Spider-Man 2 sub-theme in this non-MCU Heroclix set. This figure is none other than the Bruce Campbell cameo. And I gotta say, this Squabbler, I may have been a little rough on you, but you really captured my heart here. Bruce Campbell in Heroclix is really something I really need, and if it's got to be as his cameo in Spider-Man, I'm okay with that. So this is specifically from Spider-Man 2. Sadly, it's not that name sucks kid, the announcer from the pseudo wrestling show Spider-Man 2. He does have the name Quentin Beck with real name Bruce Campbell cameo. So fun fact, I knew this, and this is really cool. When they were making these movies, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell obviously worked on Evil Dead together, and Bruce is great. They wanted Bruce Campbell. The reason he shows up in all these movies is because he's actually Mysterio, and in the 4th movie, he was going to be the villain. He was going to be Mysterio in it. So that's kind of why every time Bruce Campbell comes in, he doesn't mess with Spider-Man, but he messes with Peter Parker, and he's kind of like in his way most of the time. So it's really, really cool. And that's like, that would have been a crazy twist where they unmask Mysterio, and it's like, whoa, it's that guy from like all 3 movies. What in the world, So like that's really cool. So this is specifically where he doesn't let Peter in Mary Jane's play or whatever. So 4 range, 25 points, 3 clicks long, just terrible whatever Blandile, right? 6 speed, highest speed, 8 attacks, the highest attack, 15 defense, the highest defense, 0 damage the whole way through, no powers, 1 trait. No one will be admitted after showtime. Unique modifier. Roll a d6. 5 through 6. Opposing force gets 1 less action on their turn. Really simple. We've had figures like this before. You just sit old Quentin Beck in the back. You just have him roll that d6. It doesn't say it's free. Just says roll a d6, so I imagine you just do it. Kind of like the whole dice thing for Q and whatnot. It's simple. He gets in the way of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You just get -1 action. It's all right. For 25 points, you could have given him a power. Just saying. So, yeah, he's just real simple.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do something really, really quick, real simple.
He also, in addition to being in Spider-Man 2, the movie, the Spider-Man 2 video game based on this movie, he was the narrator. So, that was he was like the guy that like taught you how to... Like they don't show him, but he's like the voice of
swing webs,
the guy
whatever,
telling you like press A to jump. Yeah.
So for this style design, we don't really see figures that just have no powers and then a trait. He doesn't really need range. I don't understand why he has range. Bruce Campbell never throws anything at Spider-Man in any of these, so like he actually is going to get a little bit of negative from me for having the range. But they normally, I think his price point's pretty solid. I think if it was a 4 through 6, 50-50 shot at getting -1 action, then for sure because Eric Killmonger is actually really cheap. He's like 65 points, but he also has like charge flurry and stuff, or blades or whatever, right? So I think for this guy, he is like a 6 for me, a 6 or 7 on the figure scale here for this Bruce Campbell cameo little support figure. I can't rank him much higher. I don't want to give him a 7 because just the full range makes no sense.
Yeah, I think as far as like dial design goes, it's good. It's good.
When you have 4 ranges, 0 damage.
The one bad thing.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even with an 8 attack, yeah. It's, the one thing I would say is being able to like, if your opponent really needed like all 4 actions and they had leadership, and you managed to like get that off on like a turn where they really needed all 4 actions the next turn, it's almost as good as like a nuke clone being in somebody's way, and they're just like,
take care of this, yeah.
Like, you know, they just have to like reevaluate their entire turn, their entire next turn. All right, last but not least, the character that I'm going to talk about is none other than the big bad Galactus from the same movie as the Fantastic Four. This is the.
I died a little inside every time.
I could have talked about the Surfer Doom. I could have talked about the Cosmic Surfer Doom. Would have been like a cool dial and stuff, but no, I'm talking about the Space Cloud. Is it the same entity as Green Lantern, the Ryan Reynolds movie that attacked? Maybe, because it's just a giant cloud that attacks Earth. So he goes into. I'll just read his little blurb. He says, "What happened with Galactus? My research tells me that director Tim Story wanted a comic-accurate Galactus, as did the special effects crew at the Weta Workshop, Peter Jackson's company. But Fox didn't think audiences would buy a gigantic purple robot man. We would, Fox, we would. Either everybody goes with a giant space cloud or no movie. To Weta's credit, they fought tooth and nail to at least get a silhouette of Galactus's helmet in the cloud, so it wasn't a total loss. ... Except it was. Galactus had been built up into an existential threat to all life on Earth for the entire movie. Not only was his big scene treated as a resolution rather than a climax, Dr. Doom on the surfboard is like the real threat, but he was literally taken out with one hit by the Silver Surfer. So, with all that, what could we expect from this dial, other than, for 75 points, number 113 Galactus, keywords cosmic and deity, he has 1 click. He is a single click with an 11 speed, 0 attack, 0 damage, 22 defense. He's got a big trait, so we'll get into that. I think, as like a side tangent, I think if they ever do a Fantastic Four movie with Galactus correctly, they will treat him like an eldritch horror kind of thing, like Cthulhu, like some sort of like abstract thing that like no one can truly comprehend, because he's like this unstoppable force, like not an unstoppable force of nature, but an unstoppable force of the universe, and like, you know, they'll have to figure out a way to like not like outwit it, but like bargain or something. Like that's how the Silver Surfer like saved his planet. So if they ever do it, that's how they'll have to do it. There's no way to really fight him head on. So let's see what happens if they try. So he has improved targeting called Space Cloud. Improved movement, ignores all terrain effects, destroys blocking terrain. That's pretty sweet. He's got a single trait, the Devourer Approaches. During the beginning of the game, after characters have been placed, each player takes a turn placing 1 whole token per 100 points of the game's build total on the map. Opponent places the blast on an odd number. Each hole must be at least 3 squares away from each other and any starting area. When Galactus occupies a square with a hole, give it a power action and place the hole token on its card. When all hole tokens are on Galactus's card, KO all opposing characters. Holes can only be removed through this effect. Galactus can only be dealt damage through attacks. So he has no powers. He has no way to attack. If it's a 300-point game, your opponent, let's see, if it's a 300-point game, your opponent gets to place 2 holes. They have to be 3 squares from a starting area and 3 squares from each other. But 11 speed and a 22 defense. If your opponent takes more than, let's see, it would be minimum like 4 turns, because you could have TK. He is colossal, so you could technically do something to like help him move. There's like things like Infinity,
Sure, yeah.
who could like help him like sidestep and stuff like that. There's different ways to help him move about the map. There's a lot of perplex that you could sink into him moving. But in a 300-point game, he has to pick up. So he has to occupy a square with a hole and then be given a power action.
Well, he's still a
And
single base.
He has to do that 3 times in a 300-point game,
like,
and then your
unless
entire
he's
force.
like it shows long dial, even though he's 1 click.
I mean, assuming, see, yeah, it does give him like a colossal sized dial. I would hope
'Cause then
that
it's really easy to
he's
win the
not a
game.
single base figure, because if he was,
Oh yeah.
yeah, you can TK,
Oh, yeah.
you could do some Mr. Oz, some stuff like that, and you can easily have, and even if like your opponent, places them well, for 75 points, if they're focusing on this guy, then they're focusing on 75 points of your build, and you can still like beat them with the rest of your build. And if they're not focusing
being
on
only
this guy,
3 squares
then
away
a few
from
turns
a starting
in,
area,
he's gonna be.
and then from each other is really easy to like get these far away from your opponent. If they were more spread out, like 5 squares away from each other in a starting area, maybe that'd be a little bit harder.
Yeah, so we're talking about like square 23 is the starting area, so
20.
22, 21,
19, yeah.
square,
Oh,
you have to
yeah,
be in square
counts from there,
19, because 3 squares, yeah. So they have to be in square like 19, but he's got 11 speed. He can get there with like a TK. Of course, you're picking the one that you picked up, that you like placed first. And even like the worst part is like the higher like the game goes, the less of a threat this guy is, because it takes him longer, but also like the fewer points he is towards your like build total. So you could totally have like an entire team, like a 400-point team based around this gimmick, and at 400 points it's even worse, because it's not odd, so you get to place like 2 of them and your opponent gets to place 2. So at the beginning of the game you're like 50% done collecting, and then it's like turn 2 you've already collected 2 most likely, and you still have 325 points of team around him.
Yay, Galactus.
That being said, 22
Sadly,
defense isn't
sadly
impossible to hit
isn't.
nowadays.
Yeah, 14 attack,
14
8
attack will.
dice manipulation, whatever. I like the can only be damaged through attacks. That's cool. So it's no Tri-Sentinel, bing, no Mini Shredder walks up to Galactus and stabs him in the I was going to say toe, but it's Dust Cloud or something, I don't know, and just kills him, So that is at least kind of cool. But characters like this just, this is just a very I made the dial. This is not a figure they would ever make.
I do
sadly. There's no 22
I
defense on a 75-point figure.
No.
The alternative
I do
win condition is cool. They've done
alternative win
collectible stuff, and they've done win the game. This combines it. It's rough though. It's rough. You ready to rate it? Because it's kind of tough for me to rate this thing.
Yeah. I'm going to give this... Oh, man. I want to give it more than like a Black Swan.
It's definitely, I think,
because
easier
I feel
to
like
block
it's
Black Swan.
more
Not in a bizarre
likely
game,
than
of course,
Black Swan
but,
is.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it like a pre-rules revamp capture team rating. That's what I'm going to say. Because it's like a capture team could have like, been built around that mechanic and won. This could be built around this mechanic and win.
See, I'm
going to go ahead and give it like a 6.
I think it's rough.
I think the fact that he's got... Oh, okay. I think the fact that he doesn't give your team anything other than like this chance means you're not playing this character unless you're building around him or like very heavily like building towards him. I'm not going to build with this character unless I have like a way to TK or give him sidestep or something. But yeah, I do think that he's not worth nothing. Like he's definitely like a. I think he'd make
Nate
a meta
White
team
could make this bad boy
if somebody
work.
was like
really
he
could.
inclined to try it.
He'd be all hopped up in Chicagoland and be like, yeah, we can do it. Yeah, let's win in 3 turns. You know.
Well, in pre lack of ID cards, this would have been a great figure to just call in IDs for you as he slowly marched across the map.
That really sucks. You know, he's got to move, call in an ID, get a lot of tokens. Maybe. You know, not being able to be hit easily is pretty cool. I would have still given him super senses. To be honest with you, I would have given him super senses. 1 power, give him super senses. Give him one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about stealth. You know, the dust cloud wasn't really high.
Shape change,
everybody
maybe.
Can see it. Shape change is super senses. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, he didn't appear until the very end. I mean,
but it's tough. It's weird.
Yeah, it's hard to like classify this because this is one of his very gimmicky dials that he did. You really need to like read through like the whole thread.
Yeah,
it doesn't take super long.
You're not
to,
wasting
like, look
time
at the
on
that you like.
Stone and whoever else.
But there's some characters that he clearly did not care for the movie.
You know, he does say like, I don't hate any movies. Like somewhere in here he says that. You're like, well, I think you do. Based on a few of these. You definitely hate some of the characters. I think you definitely hate.
You definitely hate some of the characters, at least.
But all right, that's Smoky Cloud Galactus. I wanted to talk about Green Goblin 2 really quickly from Spider-Man 3. I enjoyed Spider-Man 3 a lot. So this is weird. He has him as the new Goblin on the set, which is what he is called. But for some reason, the name is Green Goblin 2 on the figure line. It's not Green Goblin 2. It's New Goblin. It is James Franco as Harry Osborn. My favorite portrayal of Harry Osborn. I love James Franco. I loved this character. When I watched this movie, I was like, holy smokes, he's my favorite. I tried to find like an action figure of it anywhere. They do exist, and I want to go buy one so bad after just seeing this again.
Is he surfing on an alien
keyboard? That's his. He is like if a gamer decided to become a supervillain. Like, James Franco may not be a gamer, and like Harry Osborn definitely is not. But he's like, I've got a bunch of knives on my wrists, and I've got this really sick, instead of my dad's stupid glider, I've got like a hoverboard thing that like is neon green and glows up. Like that's what he has. And it doesn't show his mask in this, but he's really cool. So 75 points. This is like the how would I say this guy? I'll tell you how I classify him actually. So he has no willpower. He just has flight. This is the only special thing. He has Oscorp and Celebrity for keywords, 6 range, 75 points. He has a trait. This is really weird. Precision strike, comma, ranged only. So range, precision strike, basically is what he means to say. Instead of normal damage, which is weird because you're giving him precision strike, roll a d6. So it says roll a d6, and then it says -3. I don't know if he means roll it 3 times, or is it on a 6 through 3? Then he says minimum 1. Green Goblin 2 deals the result as penetrating damage. Deals it instead of his normal damage. So he's got.
I think he's saying roll a d6 -3.
Is that -3?
It's
oh,
like the result
man,
-3.
I get it. I got it. Okay, cool. So
yeah.
I would just say half.
It's weird, but
yeah. Okay. See, it looks weird. -3. A space is can do wonders. Squabbler, just saying. I don't want to beat you up too bad. But yeah. So razor bats, those little things. So instead of dealing normal damage, so it's so weird, right? So even though he does his energy explosion later, he gets he has energy explosion his whole dial, right? And later it doesn't make any sense. So it's super weird that this is his trait, right? It says period, precision strike, range only, period. So it can't be reduced below 1 anyway. So it doesn't matter if it has a minimum 1. But he deals the result as penetrating damage. So anytime he would ever make an attack, right? Because it's separate of this trait. It's instead of normal damage, roll d6, -3, minimum 1. Green Goblin 2 deals the results as penetrating damage. So So every single time he makes an attack, that's his whole thing.
for energy explosion, he could technically deal 3 penetrating if he wanted to.
Which is cool.
Or like potentially if he rolled.
But it's weird that is like a trait that's just like that's gonna dominate his whole dial. Really weird. So his special attack, energy explosion, pumpkin time bombs, energy explosion period. When he uses it, he may choose that it deals no damage when it hits. At the beginning of your next turn, instead it deals penetrating damage to all hit characters. So I don't know what he means by beginning of your next turn. Does that mean it doesn't deal damage until the beginning of your next turn? Like, I assume that's what it means by time bomb. At the beginning of your next turn, it instead deals penetrating damage to the characters. Right? So does that mean you hit them?
So I don't
you gotta wait, and you just have to keep track of who you hit?
Yeah, this one's rough.
It's really rough.
He meant for like the Razorbats to be like the instead of normal damage, he deals it as penetrating damage. I think he wanted that to be with like precision strike only.
So let's say that only works with precision strike and doesn't dominate this.
I don't think he realized that that would combine with energy explosion, because his energy explosion is then also giving you a penetrating option.
Yep. Yeah.
So like
so
basically,
so
basically you give your opponent a turn, you energy explode them, you hit. You're like, I'm not going to deal damage to you. You give them their turn. At the beginning of your next turn, you then deal penetrating damage that they would have taken.
Okay, yeah. I assume it doesn't mean next turn he does deal penetrating damage, so you have to like hit him again. You do penetrating damage for that turn. That doesn't make any sense. It's really weird.
Oh yeah, I would.
But it's also kind of how it's worded, so it's so weird.
Yeah.
It's so wonky. And then it just has like toughness ESD for his first 3 flicks. So if I just get rid of like some of these and we make Razorbats like he has ranged blades with precision strike instead of this weird penetrating thing, he just has ranged blades. All right, can't be reduced below 1. That's like better. Like then he has running shot, side steps, energy explosions, toughness. He has outwit, 2 clicks, shape change 2 clicks, perplex 2 clicks. It's an alright dial, really, and like it does kind of fit for this run and gun the way the new Goblin was in the movie, and kind of the way he played in Spider-Man: Friend or Foe. But for like the way this dial is built, this is probably the roughest worded dial he has that I looked at. Anyways, I scanned over the movies I was aware of. There might be a worse one in here. This is probably the roughest wording we've had. This is like as far as like dials goes, it just doesn't work right. So it's like a 2 for me. Like the wording is super confusing. It's like 2 or 3.
I would say like definitely like fix the trait or the attack power. But as it is right now, the fact that, like, as according to the pack and according to like our like reading of this, you'd be able to combine energy explosion with that roll a d6, because that it just says period instead of normal damage. So I mean, I guess it'd be energy explosion is also instead of normal damage. So maybe it doesn't work, but it just seems like a weird double penetrating damage thing. I don't know.
Red Dead Redemption, everybody. That was Squabbler's non-MCU Marvel movie set. I implore you to go check it out. If you enjoy watching any superhero movies at all, they're pretty much on there. For Marvel movies, of course. So go check them out. If you're curious how Dallas Howard is as Gwen Stacy, and whatever these hero styles would look like, he's got them there. He's making them. His latest was, I believe, Blind Owl. Let me find it. Yup, and let's see. How soon did he post her? 3 days ago, 5/21/2020. So he's getting through this set. He's mowing through it, man. He's staying on top of it. He's doing it. So he makes like a couple a day when he does it sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
And one that we didn't get to that I thought was kind of cool is X-Men Days of Future Past. It's got Bishop, Blink, Sunspot, Warpath, Quicksilver.
Oh yeah, I made sure
Trask.
I did that too because I really like Warpath. So
yeah,
that's another cool one.
And then 2 Sentinels.
Yeah.
So that's like fun one that we didn't get to. There's a ton of like really cool stuff in here that we didn't get to. I think overall, there's a few wonky kind of dials in here. I think overall he's like a solid 8 out of 10. Did a really solid job. Portraying most of these characters, and like not only like portraying them like accurately, but like movie accurately. Like if the character in the movie was like just a throwaway junk character, that's what he made them. Like he didn't like make anyone more powerful than they were in the movies.
Colossus from the first X-Men movie, right? He's like the worst 20 or 30 point character, and all he does is he doesn't even have traded impervious. He has roll a d6 when he's hit with an attack on a 4 through 6. You can use impervious. So it's like Colossus can just die because he really didn't do anything the whole movie. Even though that Colossus can just basically be impervious the whole time, and even though he was totally useless in the movie, like we know he's better than that, but that's how he was used. So that's how he's going to be represented in Heroclix form.
I also like No Name commented on Havoc from X-Men First Class. He said, "Cosmic Hula Hoop Man," because, oof, it's a bad one.
Yep. Yep. It is bad. Havoc is bad, and he's rough. He's real rough. So yeah, that is the set. Go ahead, check it out. Like I said, if you have any sets you want me and Simeon to check out, go ahead and send them our way. Let's go ahead and move on to the community section, shall we?
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
Community Tuesdays. Once you get back to your local shop, what is the first format you want to play, Simeon? What's the format you want to play, my man? What do you got?
Ooh, I don't know if I want to like ease back into things with like a nice like 400-point game. But I kind of just want to go all out, and if it's not going to be sealed, I want to do like a 1,000-point, like anything goes kind of thing. Just bring all the stuff that you've been craving to play. Doesn't matter if it works or not. Just throw it on the table and see what happens.
I would love to play really casually. I am so tired of, and I love everybody's doing these online tournaments. It's great, it's whatever, but it's all this competitive garbage, and I just don't care. You can't bring me to care.
Calder, you can play casual online.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever.
No, it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
To be honest,
if I'm gonna play casual, I want to have the figures. I can play competitively online because I don't care if I have the figures. I don't care about the comic accuracy. I don't care about those things, and I get to not care about those things because it's not a fun version of the game that I like to play. Competitively, that is.
And it's also hard to put in like all the work into getting the images, getting the maps, finding someone that's willing to play like whatever build you're doing, and playing on Roll20 for one game, usually like just one game of
delete all those
like casual.
Like,
I have to be encouraged. I have to be encouraged with the money. You have to
money. I want money. Yeah, exactly. So I want Heroclix prizes. I don't want to do it for fun. This isn't fun to me. No. So, yeah, I'll totally agree. Simeon, I want to do a crazy big point game, and I just want to, like, play all the chases from Captain America or something. I just want to play something.
Me too.
Basically is what I want to do.
I pulled the Ghost Rider, so I think I'm only missing Absorbing Man, Peggy, and that might be.
I just bought Namor.
Absorbing Man, Peggy,
so like
and
that's all I need is Namor. So I'm like, I bought him, and I just gotta wait for him. So I got them all, and that's all I want to do now. I was like, are they a team? And no, they don't share keywords. They don't work. But like, I just want to play them all. They're not even a cool chase thing either.
Cool
I just want to play all the effects on one thing. So I totally agree. High point game. That's what I want to do. So read us the first one on Facebook. Let's do
on Facebook. Colin Bell says, sealed. The one thing you can't accurately recreate online. Even if you randomize boosters, you'll never be able to match that rush of adrenaline when the judge says open and everyone begins tearing their cardboard. I agree. Even if it's like somebody's hosting it and they're like, we'll open the boosters for you and then send them.
It's not the same.
It's not the same as opening the packs and like, slightly peeking in and you're like, oh no, there's a rare. Or being like, oh, I see bubbles. And then you get excited,
See,
I always get excited when I see bubbles, even if it's Jane Foster Thor.
100%. The bubbles, they make it happen. I agree with the sealed. Protagonist Ben Jones says, I was getting a new group together before we stopped playing. We had sealed Captain America event plan. We have the stuff, so I guess that is what our first event will be. Followed closely by Justice League Unlimited sealed, I'm sure.
Very nice. Yeah, I hope to do some Justice League sealed. We didn't get to. Some guy named Lucas Tom Van Holland, I think he's a Superman fan. He says, whatever will make you the most frustrated. Well, luckily I'm not going to Rainbow Comics, so don't have to worry about that. I will not be
frustrated. The worst part is I am, and that's the only thing I'm not looking forward to playing. And you can tell Lucas this, Kevin, if you want to. If you could just play a bad team, Lucas, and just play a bad team. Play a bad team for me, you know? Don't try to win. For once, just be like, I'm going to play, I don't know, something bad. Something that just doesn't work at all. I'm going to play all flashes from Batman the Animated Series. Those are a hot topic, high demand nowadays. So,
I want my Flash.
Or I'm just going to play whatever. Just play a team where you're like, this doesn't have any good strategy to it. I didn't really think about building it that hard. I basically wore a different mask, and I wasn't myself today, and I just made a team that's just not good, and I don't see any functional way it could even win. Could you just play a bad team?
Oh, yeah.
Why has it got to be whatever's going to make you the most frustrated?
Build a team with zero support. Only Hulks.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Make it bad. Oh, yeah, just make it bad. Play AI Hulk at 350 and I don't know, something else.
Build bad.
Play something bad.
Build
please.
Bad, but play to
Build
win.
bad for me. Come on. All right. Protagonist Aron Johnson says, and he goes ahead. He's like, me and at Chance McCall venues is supposed to run an event that was 500 points. Must have a figure with the politician keyword. I really want to show the TO how bad an idea it would have been with the list I made for it. So I'm curious about his crazy, competitive politician theme team. By the way, Protagonist Vigilante Chance McCall goes in to say, don't at me unless you're trying to play some Clix Boomer, because he did that little Twitter ad, gives him a notification. Pretty good.
I saw
good
that.
stuff.
It's good.
I like specific keyword events. The worst part is, this is the worst thing about Rainbow. We have kids that don't have enough figures. We have guys that have a ton of figures. And we have to find something that works for everybody, but we also don't want the guys to go too crazy competitive with it because other people don't have figures, and if you let them have the open reign, they'll do the open reign, like Lucas said, make me frustrated. Why? So we can't, if we could do a game where it's everybody has to have only the past or the future keyword, I think that'd be awesome. But every time I say something like that, it's well, the kids don't have that many Heroclix. And I'm well, maybe they shouldn't be children, and they should get a job.
Why don't you get a job?
But all right, that's Twitter.
On Facebook,
why don't you get a job?
James Craddock, who says, no idea. My judge doesn't have any events listed yet. I would say something with Justice League Unlimited for sure, but I can see my judge coming up with something about wrestling or the Fantastic Four. He doesn't seem too happy about that. Well, we said, what would you want to play, not what is your judge.
He's a pretty big DC guy, I think,
James
right?
Craddock?
Yeah.
I think he hates DC.
That's right.
I think he said they're bad. I don't remember.
That's what I thought. I thought he hated DC too. Yeah, he has that Doctor Strange profile picture or whatever. That Gentleman Strange. Yeah, really big.
Hopefully his venue opens up before Fantastic Four and the new wrestling set drops, so he does get some time with the Justice League.
I hope so too. I'm actually more excited for the wrestling than Justice League, but I still hope that you get your fun game in. Isis Effects says, I have 19 boxes of unopened Hypertime. So Hypertime sealed, of course. Why? Why, Isis? Why all this Hypertime? Why?
All right. Sean Aguayo says 300 modern, then probably 600 golden, and then a free-for-all. It's interesting.
Ooh, I like that 600 gold. Sounds fun. Vigilante Collectibull says, at this point, anything. Sealed, Battle Royale, 5,000 point constructed, anything. To be honest, even if it's going to be a fun game, I don't think I'd want to play 5,000 point constructed. That actually seems like a lot of work. I don't know. All right, read one more.
Last but certainly not least is Peter Marshfield. He says, any format that puts me down at the table across from another player and not behind a computer screen. And I think that's something I can get behind.
Good man, that Vigilante Peter Marshfield supporting us. I like that. I like that answer too. That's a good one to end on. All right, like we do every week, we're gonna go ahead and do a quick Jedi Legend HeroClix tip of the week.
I don't want to sell you death sticks.
You want to go home and rethink your life?
I want to go home and rethink my life.
kind of been on like a telekinesis kick here. So he says TK 1 of 2. Involving objects, you have a minimum range of 6 and can pick it up from 6 squares in front of you and place that bad boy, or use it as a ranged combat action 6 squares behind you within range and line of fire of the TKer, of course. Got more range, even better. So here's the only bad thing is that the object has to see the square too. That's the part that sucks about TK, because I was trying to like TK an object to where I could see it, but if the object can't see where it's going for some reason, it doesn't work. So that's the one rough part about telekinesis. Probably my least favorite part. Like, why does that rock need to see where it's going? It doesn't. I can see the rock, and I can see where it's going.
Because he's the people's champ.
He, of course, has a...
That's why the rock needs to see where he's going.
That, too. I forget. Maybe I should have said brick. All right, there we are. You get what you deserve. All right, but yeah, that is our week. I did say we were going to mention a little bit of Thursday Throwdown. Yo, go out and vote. Reminder to vote. If you don't vote in anything else this year, vote in Thursday Throwdown, because that's what really matters, all right? If you think that there is injustice in the world, if you think Simeon's team, if you think his side is better than my side, if you're starting to see these votes and you're like, oh no, Simeon's at a total disadvantage, or Kalder's at a total disadvantage, I should even it out. I'll vote for a terrible figure for Kalder or Simeon, and then give the other one a really good figure. You have the power. And this isn't like normal voting where I say your vote matters, where like it's like, but doesn't really, you know? There's actually so few people that vote. Your vote actually has weight to it. Isn't that a great feeling? Don't you want to actually feel like you have a voice? Just saying, this might feel like it's a thinly veiled thing. It's not. You actually have a really good voting power in this. Like, you really do. So if you vote, go out and vote in Thursday Throwdown, that is. Like I said, the only important thing that you will vote for in 2020 that will actually have lasting effects. Sorry.
If one of the characters that you pick ends up on the winning team, then like, you know, you get to pat yourself on the back and be like, I was part of the winning team.
That's right.
I did that.
Like, I did that.
My vote,
you know,
did that.
Whoever, I forget who voted for Nimrod. Hey man, you deserve a medal, dude. And I'm sorry, I should actually like remember everyone who votes, because I can be like, well, look at that, because you chose Nimrod, I somehow beat this crazy stack.
Who was it that voted
for? You know what I'm saying? Like, you get to be part of that victory.
Oh
no! That was semi.
That's the real kicker though. Is
that was a little, yeah. I'm not
people
gonna lie.
knew that Nova Blast was in that set and they didn't vote for it.
Oh
man.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, like come on, guys, come on. Yeah, Nova Blast was total point filler. I'm sorry, guys. It's gonna be sometimes. Simeon's like, you scumbag. How could you? Anyways, so yeah, go vote. Simeon, do you know what set you're building out of this week, this Thursday?
Shoot,
man. I'll tell you.
Collateral Carnage.
It's not. I get a build out of icons, which I actually own the Lex Luthor icon, so I hope you get votes for him.
Yeah.
And then you are building out of Armor Wars, man. Armor Wars versus icons. There's great stuff in here. And I'm saying it on the podcast because not everybody stays to the end of these videos and not everybody watches the videos. Go to our YouTube channel, Thursday Throwdown. It is awesome. Once we get to sets that have cards, we're going to start using the tabletop simulator and see how you guys like that instead of Roll20 for these games. That's going to be really cool, because those are like 3D 3D figures. And like you pick up the dice with your little mouse and you have to like actually shake them around and throw them as like 3D little objects in this game. It's awesome. It's so cool. I can't wait to start using tabletop simulator. But we got to get through some of these early sets first. And you guys got to vote. So, you know, if you want, you know, me to play this crazy good Brainiac, like just throwing that out there. Just saying. You want me to play this running shot pulse wave outwit Brainiac? Then by all means, please vote for it. If you want Simeon to play a bunch of Wendigos, but they're bad Wendigos,
or this
Like,
Dazzler that has like a guitar and is punk rock. It's a cool sculpt.
Hey, running shot pulse wave is running shot pulse wave. I don't care if it's 8 attack, 2 damage. It's running shot pulse wave, baby. Like, or if you want Simeon to play these like ridiculous. Oh, I thought one of these Ultrons was supposed to be good. Never mind. I was clicking on them, and I'm like, that one of them was supposed to have like 13
the one is 11 clicks deep. It's not.
One is good, yeah. 11 clicks, 11 attack, mind control, 4 damage.
There's
Pervious.
That Magneto is pretty crazy, and it's like hover chair thing.
Running shot, 12 attack. Let's do it. So vote. Go to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet. I know some of you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel. Get on that, baby. Get on that. All right. Seriously. YouTube, Thursday Throwdown. They're a ton of fun to shoot, and it's like extra content that we're giving you guys. So, all right, I'm done ranting and raving before I have to do all the little normal reading stuff. Simeon, is there anything that you want to say before we close out? This isn't like the read the cool stuff, anything you want to say. Is there anything like non-cool stuff related you want to say before we leave the show this week?
If we get more than one vote for the Phoenix Colossal, we'll do like a
That's right.
600 plus point.
We'll totally do another boss battle thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like an 800 or something point, Phoenix at 600, whatever.
It's not a ton of fun
Yeah,
for
because
me
we did that with Galactus.
because I like to play more than like one figure, but I will make an exception if there's enough people that want to see it.
Yeah. So, like, we kind of made Galactus like a call just because we think you guys would want to see it, and you did want to see it. It was cool. People liked it. So, if you want to see the Phoenix, pay attention to what Colossals are in a set, and we do kind of go in and say what is in a set at the end of these Thursday Throwdown videos. I'm going to start trying to get these up earlier. I've been getting them up, like, while it's technically still Thursday, like 11 o'clock at night. I would like to start getting these videos up at around 12 or 2 o'clock on Thursday, so there's like people will actually associate them with watching it on Thursday instead of watching it on Friday. Hint, hint, Simeon. I'd like to get the video up earlier. Just kidding. All right, just kidding, not really. Anyways, you guys, I'm not super worried about a Patreon right now. It's a tough time, so don't worry about it. But if you do want to support us, support the show on Patreon, you can go ahead and do that. Action figures, action tokens, and stickers can be yours. Ooh, don't forget, you can email us at gmail.com if you want to send a dialageforheroclix at gmail.com if you want to send us in any questions, comments, concerns. If you just want to make some hate mail, go for it. I probably won't read it on the show, but you can if you want to. Free speech. You can follow us on Twitter at dialh4. That's the number 4 Heroclix. Facebook.com/dialh4heroclix. We do upload some stuff on Instagram. That's dialh4heroclix, but it's an @ sign in front of it. So at dialh4heroclix, all spelled out on Instagram. iTunes, Podbean, wherever podcasts are found. Simeon, go ahead and read us out of here.
All right, with that, Dial H for Heroclix is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day. From the latest Heroclix singles and soon-to-be shipping out sealed products. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Happy trails.